and welcome to the second of these little course reviews. I'm starting off by talking about the more general sites. So as I say, these are sites where they're not hosting one specific course, they're hosting dozens and dozens or sometimes hundreds of courses by obviously written by various different people, so you get the most variety of courses. I will go on later to talk about some more specific ones where you have, excuse me, the horses in the background, where you have the website just does one particular course, so we'll be coming on to that later, but obviously they are quite specialised, because if you're not interested in that subject, then the whole thing is obviously not going to interest you, so I thought I'd start with the more general ones. And today we're going to talk about OfCourse. Now, this is a slightly tricky one because, as you know, I kick off with talking about the price of the courses, and that is something that seems to change greatly over the years, as I suppose prices do. It was some years ago that I first came across this site. Now, at the time, the courses, I think they were all, they did differ a little bit, but mostly they all came in at just under £100. But they basically, like most of these, they had a permanent sale on. And when they were on sale, they were £19. But like most of these sites, they keep adding more and more and more courses. They also did a lot of things where they do these course bundles. They were very big on that. They did an awful lot of them. In fact, most courses were part of some bundle or other. And they would then work out cheaper. In fact, sometimes you could actually get a 3-course bundle for £19, so you get 3 courses. It was a little bit weird. It did differ greatly, so you had to kind of really shop around, kind of sit there with a notebook, making notes on, okay, so I could do this, and this course in this bundle, or I could do this one, this bundle includes this, and this, and then work out what you want to do from there. So, yeah, that sort of differed a lot. But what they also did, this is where it gets complicated, they did an offer whereby you could you get lifetime access, and again this is a course which, be quiet please, sorry, horsies. Sorry, we love you really. So you will get lifetime access to the course, obviously, as you do with Centre of Excellence. I don't know if I said that, but it does say it on the website. So, and yeah, with this offer you could essentially buy access to all of their courses. Now this, I think it cost, something like they did it £999, so it was like £1,000. But every so often it was on sale, and it was, I can't remember if it was £300 or £400 now, but it was one of them. And if you think about it, this actually worked out as a very good offer. At the time, they had about 100 courses on their website, I think. They were always adding more. And yeah, as I say, they usually you could get maybe a couple of courses for this £19 or £20. But the thing was, because I'd been there in my notebook, you know, noting down all the combinations and things that I wanted to get and so on. Well, the thing is, you only get 5 courses, sort of £20. You've already spent £100. So I was going through thinking, oh yeah, there's all these, and I kind of worked out, well, you know what? Every so often I'd have this thing where every so often I'd treat myself to one, but if I keep doing that, it's not going to be very long before I've spent the £300 or £400. For that, I could have access to the whole lot, because looking at it, there's so many more courses that I wouldn't necessarily spend £20 on, but I'd like to do, if they were effectively free, so what the hell. So in the end, that is what I did, and I went and bought this thing when it was on offer. The sale, as I say, on the courses seemed to be kind of permanent, but that wasn't on sale all the time. So I waited until it was again, just about once a year, and I got it. So now, obviously, yeah, I have access to all of their courses, so if you're thinking, my God, why has she got so many courses on it? Because, as I say, I have access to absolutely all of them now, so that is why. Now, I would say that I recommend doing that if there's lots of courses you do, but I am not quite sure that they actually offer that anymore, because I have not seen it on their website. for a very long time now, and I suspect they might have stopped that offer simply because they now have lots more courses. So yeah, maybe it's not worth their while to do that, I don't know. They also seem to have stopped the payment stuff because I had to go, obviously, because as I say, I don't really know how much the courses are now because I don't pay for them. So I went on the website before making this video to kind of check that information. It used to be if you went on the website, they would always say courses like, you know, £100 but slashed through and £19. They don't now, they just seem to say £100. So I went on their Facebook page to check. Now on their Facebook page, it is, like Centre of Excellence, is littered with offers, 70% off this course. But most of the courses are about £100, so that would lower it to £30. So yeah, maybe they have gone up a bit. But anyway, but it did also seem like there were a lot of bundles as well, still, and they were also 70% off. So yeah, depending, I don't know how much they start off with, obviously, but it did seem like, yes, there were still a lot of discounts, but unfortunately not as many as before. So what I would recommend doing is, yes, get on the Facebook page, have a look at that, and see what discounts you can get. But one of the really nice things about the courses, I hope they have not changed this, because they certainly hadn't last time I checked. Again, it's quite hard for me to see now because I don't buy the courses, I get them all free, so, well I do, but yeah. Anyway, but they're free, so it's a bit complicated. But unlike with Centre of Excellence, where it is a little bit potluck, although some of the courses are excellent, but not necessarily all of them, and you can't really tell. OfCourse does give you the option to try before you buy, as it were. Most of the courses, I'm not sure it's absolutely all of them, but certainly the vast majority they filmed like an introductory video, and you can watch that before purchasing the course. So that will give you a good idea about the kind of style that the course is going to be taught in. It'll also give you an idea of, you know, who the teacher is, and there's quite a few teachers that have uploaded a lot of courses on there. So obviously if you do one by then you think, oh yeah, that was really, really good, then you can find another one by that same teacher. Equally, of course, you may come across one that you just really think, no, that's just not for me. So you know to avoid all of those ones. As I say, that's really good because there is a lot of difference there. There's a lot of variation. Partly, obviously, one of the things is that the courses are hosted from all around the world. So, yeah, so the teachers might be in the UK, the US, Australia, South Africa, they could be anywhere. So, obviously, for some things, that may not be relevant. For some subjects, you know, they're not particularly context bound, but obviously if they're going to be talking about regulations in a particular country, then you need to make sure, ideally, it's the country that you live in. Also, you know, you may just find some people's accent particularly irritating. I know I do. And if you're going to be listening to them talking for a long time, that is something to bear in mind. But also, yes, the style in which they're presented differs hugely. And you will hopefully get some sort of feel for that from the introductory video. And what I mean by that is that some of the course tutors would treat it very much like, almost like a university lecture type thing. So they'll have a series of videos with, you know, a PowerPoint slide, and they'll be talking about it. Then others take a completely different approach. Some go for the more sort of homely approach, so perhaps they might have filmed the course in their garden, more like having a chat with you. Equally, for example, because obviously it does differ depending on what the course is about. So for example, there's quite a few on cooking type things. So like vegan and vegetarian cooking, for example, there's quite a few on that. And many of them, they've gone for the very homely approach. So they're filmed, you know, in a person's kitchen, where they're talking you through various ingredients and then making the recipes kind of with you, and then they'll supply you with a recipe book. So, yeah, that's what we that. But yes, as I say, there is a huge spectrum of how the tutors chose to approach, whether they wanted to do a very sort of clean-looking, very professional type of thing that's sort of almost based on something like a mini course from a university, or whether they wanted to do, a more domestic approach, if you like, make it more chatty. So there is that. There's also, it does differ, and if you, before you buy the course, you should be able to scroll down and read the, I don't think you get it in full detail, but you get look at the modules, so you can see sort of how long the course is, and also what sorts of things you get, because these courses, you'll be getting the idea, are video based, so they're all predominantly watching videos. However, they mostly contain written stuff as well, some more so than others. So some would contain, sort of an introductory video and then, quite a lot of written stuff. Others are basically videos, but with maybe a written handout just summarising some of the key points from the video. So again, it differs widely in that. And also, obviously, in terms of the length of the video, so some of these are very short courses, you would literally complete them in an hour. Others will take you longer because maybe some of the videos last about an hour, and some of them go much more in depth. Others, are a very brief overview of a subject. So have a look, scroll down through the modules, and sorry, I keep being interrupted by horses. Get a feel for the sort of the length of the course, because often, as I say, that differs hugely, and necessarily the difference isn't necessarily reflected in the price. So some general points on the course sort of overall. So another thing they differ, which is a little bit strange, is in terms of assessment, if you like. So some of the courses won't actually have any kind of assessment whatsoever. As you go through each stage of the course, once you've completed it, you'll get a little tick. And it's slightly annoying. One of the things you have to do at the beginning is you have to share your course on Facebook or Twitter or something to advertise for them, and you don't get a tick on that if you don't, so you won't be able to get 100% if you don't do it. You can always do it and then just delete it off your Facebook page. I do, because I object to that. But so you need to go through each stage, do each thing, and then click next, and you'll see you get a little tick there. Now with the videos, that is a little bit strange, because once the video loads up, you'll see actually it's already ticked off, that one. So you don't actually have to watch the video. You could just click next, and then you go, there you go, 100%. You didn't actually do the course at all. So it is a little bit strange, but not quite sure why you just paid to do the course if you didn't actually want to do it. So we'll assume you're not going to do that. But yes, as I say, some of them, there is no course quiz at the end. So once you've ticked off all the videos, you've watched them all, well, there we go, that's 100% then. And you can then print your certificate. Others do have a quiz, so again you'll still need to watch all the videos, because that will form part of it, and then you'll have got, like, I don't know, whatever percentage of it. You'll then need to do the course quiz, and that, I think that's added, your score on that is then added to the sort of completion score, as it were. Now, the quizzes are all multiple choice, and some of them are very, very short, some of them might be just 5 to 10 questions, others are split into parts. So in some cases there might be a quiz that effectively relates to each module. So say if there's 5 modules, and then at the end you might have quiz, part 1, part 2, but up to part 5. You don't have to, although the quizzes are all put at the end, you don't have to do them at the end. So if you want a better way to do it might be, if you see that is the case, do module 1 and then do the quiz part 1 afterwards. So you can do them in any order. You can just skip around as you want to. What's slightly strange actually is I have noticed there was one course I did which didn't have a quiz on it, and I completed it, and so then I got my certificate which says I got 100% on it because I've done it all. Anyway, I was a little bit curious, because when I was scrolling up my thing, that you can see it, up my sort of course list, I noticed that I had 100% on that, and it's dropped down. I finished that, didn't I? What's going on? Well, I clicked on it, and what I discovered was, of course, they've added a course quiz to it, which I haven't done. So my percentage has dropped down from 100%. But I didn't see a lot of point in doing it, because I was like, well, I finished that course a while ago now, so now I'd have to remind myself before doing the quiz, and well, it's not so much that, it's actually a problem with the courses, with the quizzes, which I will come on to in a moment. But yeah, I've already got my certificate that says 100% on it, so there's not much point really. But yeah, that slightly confused me. But anyway, they can update courses, it seems, after the event. Okay, well, I wondered about that. Now we know they can. But anyway, yes, to come on to, as I say, this problem with the quizzes, which unfortunately seems to be a little bit of a problem with a lot of them, but yes, they are, as I say, they're multiple choice. Some of the quizzes are not very well written, in the sense that the questions, it's exactly the same problem as I mentioned with Centre of Excellence. Sorry, excuse me, I'm being summoned. Hello. I mean, it's bad enough I have the horses, now I have you. Ugh. Maybe I should move to the middle of a city. Do you think that would be? Yeah. I think that would be a good idea. We'll just escape all these animals. Yeah. So sorry if you hear meowing in the background. My assistant producer or something is here. Oh well, he's going to clear up the insects from the floor, is he? Well, thank you. That's very useful. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. As I did mention this problem with Centre of Excellence. Some of the things are a bit peculiar. The OfCourse ones, it's even more striking. Some of them, you do get the feeling they have been written by, you know, a computer or something that sort of scanned something and then tried to turn it into a question, which of course, because sometimes the grammar of it is just off. Also, some of the questions are just silly, you know, and you think, you what? What type of question is that? But the real problem is that some of them are simply programmed wrong, so the answers are wrong. So, for example, you'll have some where, as I say, the question is a bit daft, to be honest. It's a bit like the driving test ones, you know. When going past sheep, should you beep your horn loudly or go past them slowly? Well, what do you think? But what happens sometimes is, you know, you'll click the answer that is very obviously right, and at the end you realise, oh, you've got 80% on this, and you think, I beg your pardon. It doesn't actually matter, because you can take the course as many times as you like, but what it often becomes a very frustrating exercise if, like me, you know, are cross about this, you want to get 100% because you know you did. Then what you end up having to do is you have to go back to the beginning of the course. Yeah, sorry, somebody's just having a funny 5 minutes. I think he sniffed some cat mint. I did have some earlier. Being a herbalist, this is the problem. I do often set a cat off. Anyway, if you go back to the beginning, and as I say, what you basically have to do is just sort of test. So change the answer of the first one, of the first question, because obviously you don't know which one's programmed wrong. So change the answer of the first one, click through to the end, and then see if you've still got 80% or has it gone up or down. And that obviously by using a process of trial and error through each question, you can then find which one is wrong and eventually find the right answer. But that is frustrating, I have to say. So yeah, that is a problem which unfortunately quite a lot of the courses have. And yeah, as I say, quite often it's that. I mean, there was another one on one of the aromatherapy ones I did where it asked you for some calculation but simply didn't give you the information you needed to do it. It was sort of calculate the something or other, you know, in this sort of thing. Sorry, in what? I think it was meant to refer to one of the videos or something, but it didn't. Sorry, I'm being attacked right, left and centre here by animals. I wouldn't mind if one of them wasn't an arachnid. Ish, you could come and rescue me from it. No, you don't want to, do you? You're too busy playing. He's definitely been on the cat mint. He's chasing his tail around now. Never seems to catch it either. Just a bit worrying. Anyway, I will try and get to the end of this video. I really will. I'm being much tried. Oh god, it's going to be fun editing this. Anyway, that issue of things sometimes, as I say, it does happen very occasionally throughout various courses. This habit of sort of referring to something that isn't there, and this kind of stems, I think, from the fact that some of these courses were not originally hosted on that platform. That is a feather. Stop. Well, he's having fun. Sorry if you can hear the cat scratching noises off camera. But yes, for example, I know some of them clearly were courses hosted on what's it, Udemy? Udemy? I'm not quite sure how you how they want you to say it. No, don't pounce on my tripod, darling. So because they make reference to it. Now that obviously is another course hosting site, very, very similar. I'm not sure if it's even owned by the same people, because certainly the people who own, various ones are owned by the same people. And in fact, the reason I chose to do, of course, and New Skills Academy and one after the other. Of course, I think it's actually a really real shame. Of course, I'm not sure if it did used to be an independent one. It was bought by, the others. But I used to really like the certificates that, of course, used to give you. As I've got a picture of them here. So yeah, as you can see, when you go on the courses, they each have a little picture, and I know personally I like remembering things by a picture. I find it's useful. And then what they did with the certificates, as you can see, they were a bit more distinctive because they used the picture, what was the name of the course, is on the certificate. But now, as I said, I think they may have been taken over by the company who hosts the New Skills Academy, which is another one we're going to talk about, I think, in the next video. So, I don't know, maybe they already own them, but certainly they did this sort of thing relatively recently where they sort of more integrated them. And they've now made the certificates exactly the same as the ones you get from New Skills Academy, basically, and they're very boring. It's a bit of a shame. I think it's a bit of a shame anyway. But, yeah, as I say, this Udemy site is another one I haven't personally done, just because it's very, very similar to this, and there's so many of them around. It may well be owned by the same people as well, I honestly don't know. I know they do own quite a lot of these sorts of websites. In any case, I know, yes, in some of these videos, which are on, of course, yes, the course tutors actually make reference to it, sort of like, and they'll give you information about how to navigate the sort of Udemy platform or something, and you're thinking, yep, that's very helpful, but I'm not on that. So some of the information that therefore does not apply, which can be quite confusing, especially, when they say about leaving comments on the videos, but you can't. You can, but then they'll go onto the main page, not onto the actual video, so it's not at all obvious what people are talking about. Never mind. So yeah, that is one slight flaw. One of the problems that I think that creates is that then sometimes these courses, I can't help feeling that the person made them for a particular platform and then sort of copied and pasted them onto other platforms without really paying much attention to what they were doing, and that may be how the course quizzes went so awry, I don't know. But certainly I've done some courses where it just seemed like a load of them was missing. And that is literally the case with some of them. For example, the aromatherapy one, there were a couple of bits where the videos just stopped halfway through and noticed. The same with the introduction to Chinese when that started playing up, where some of the videos just kind of broke up and went pixelated and then stopped for the whole video. Yeah, okay. No idea why that happened. And again, just doesn't seem to have been fixed. The anthropology one I did, now that was particularly strange. I think it was that one. I think I sure I came across another one that had the same thing. I'll try and find it when I go through them in more detail, but yeah, that was really, really weird. Each module started off with an introductory talk where this lady, who I believe was Professor of Forensic Anthropology somewhere or other, and she did a little introductory video, only 3 or 4 minutes, sort of talking about what she was going to talk about in this module, and it sounded really, really interesting. And then you went to find what the lecture she was talking about, and it wasn't there. Instead, there's a sort of, you know, a PDF of her slides from but the lecture is not there. She said it was going to be, and it wasn't. So I was very confused about that. No, I mean, I as I say, because I get all these courses now essentially free, I mean, I don't really mind, but I think if I'd paid for that course, I would have been extremely miffed and would have written them a complaining letter. Which I think I did actually write them saying, I think someone got it wrong here, but obviously they're just the host of the courses. They're not really responsible for the content, although I think they should have some kind of quality control. But yeah, as I say, it really does depend very much on your interests. Some of the courses are a lot of fun, a lot of them go very in depth, but as I say, you can watch an introductory video for each one, so that should give you some idea of what you want to be doing. As I say, in terms of assessment, some of them don't have any at all, others will just have their multiple choice quiz, which is very, very easy, just a little bit frustrating when it's programmed wrong, as it frequently is. There are a few of them, some of the more practical type ones, for example, they're a little bit strange. So they give you kind of instructions to do various case studies and things, and then send them separately, because the platform doesn't support that. So the idea is you send them separately to the course tutor. The thing I would worry about that is if they sort of stop doing that in the future, the email will probably just bounce back, or they just won't answer it. So how well that will work, I don't know. But as I say, if you're looking for any kind of accreditation or something from these, then do some research on that, because that may be a problem. But if you're just doing it for interest and for the fun of it, then that's fine. And as I say, again, I think that is a slight misinterpretation of how the course platform works, because of course, if you do one of those courses, at the end, you'll get a thing saying, so now to get your certificate, you need to send me the answer to your final assessment paper, answer all these questions, and then sending a case study, which is all very well, but of course, since you've already ticked off all you've already got a certificate which says you've got 100% from the OfCourse platform, because it doesn't support that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's a little bit strange, but as I say, well, then it's up to you whether you want to go ahead and try and do that or not. So yes, generally, I would say that, again, general interest, because these courses are obviously very easy in the sense that, particularly, you don't actually have to even watch the videos, and many of them you then say, yep, 100%. So obviously they're not really going to qualify you for anything, but they are interesting for sort of general interest purposes, and you can learn a lot from some of them. I really like some of the herbalism ones. Some of the cooking ones are great. You get a full recipe book, and yeah, some of the, this one, for example, contains sort of 2-3 hour long demonstrations, so you can just sort of watch through, whatever bit you want to watch, of various things, and then as I say, full recipe books as well. So these are a lot of fun. As I say, I do like the fact that you can watch the intro video before you start. So you'll get an idea of what to expect. And I think once you've, if you do a few of them, you sort of get the idea of, from the intro video quite quickly, about whether, what kind of style of one this is going to be. So, are you worrying the horses again? He thinks it's a sheepdog. But being a cat, he's a little bit confused and can't actually recognise a sheep. Anyway, yes, as I say, apologies for all the animal interruptions, the very noisy horses in the background and the interfering cat, but yeah, we'll forgive them. They're cute. So yes, if you'd like to, so yes, I hope you enjoyed this little insight, and please do join us again next week, where we will be discussing the next of our course providers. So I shall see you next week.